Hey there, fourth grade. This is Mr. Campbell. Today we are going to be working on lesson 2.3, which is add whole numbers. Now, this is our intro page right here on page 45. So you can go ahead and start turning there as I talk to you about what is our I can statement. At the end of today, we want you to be able to say, I can connect place value concepts to using addition algorithms. All that means is we're going to use the place values that we know, the ones, the tens, the hundreds, the thousands, and use those when we're adding together multiple numbers together. So we're going to go ahead and check out what that means and how that looks in the next page. Today is going to be all about you figuring out which strategy you like best and then using that to solve the problems that we've got. So let's go ahead and turn to page 46 and see how that's going to help us today. Here we are on page 46, and if you're not there, pause the video now. Make sure that you get to this page because this is where we want to make sure that we all are for this problem. All right. It says the Florida legislature set a statewide recycling goal. To help meet this goal, Kennedy Elementary School students collected newspapers. How many pounds of newspapers did they collect in all? And so if we take a look over here, it looks like in March they collected 358 pounds, and in April they collected 277 pounds. So how much did they add all together? Well, they're going to start off with our estimates, and we talked about that yesterday. So our estimate is, well, 358 is about 350. It's a nice easy number. 277 is about 250. We're just getting easy numbers here. So we would expect our answer to be somewhere around 600. All right. Well, we can use a couple of different strategies. And these are just two strategies. If you've got a different one that you really love doing, that's okay. But we're going to show you these two. And these are usually the ones that students kind of really like. So when we line up our numbers, so up here, when I see here is they put the ones place over top of each other, they put the tens place over top of each other, and they put the hundreds place over top of each other. The reason that that's so important is that when we're doing our math, we want to make sure everything is staying organized and together. All right. So, what do we do first? Well, this is called partial sums. And for this one, we're just going to do each one of our place values on their own and then add it up. And the reason that this is a way that students like is because usually it involves us adding with a bunch of zeros, which can be helpful and not as overwhelming as our standard algorithm. But some students like that too. Either way is going to be okay. Let's take a look here. So we're going to start in the ones place, and our ones place has an 8 plus a 7. So 8 ones plus 7 ones. Well, 8 plus 7 is 15. So our 5 stays in the ones place, and our 10 comes over here because 15 has a 10, right? Next, we're going to do our tens place, and we've got a 5 and a 7. But this isn't just a 5 and a 7, is it? No, it's 5 tens and 7 tens. But by doing it this way, we can just say, well, what's 5 plus 7? 5 plus 7 is 12. And because we're in the tens place, I need a 0 in the ones place. So that way, whatever my answer is going to start in the tens place. And when it goes to that next place value, it'll be the hundreds. Last, I've got my hundreds place. And so in this one, I've got a 3 and a 2. All right, if I've got a 3, it's not just a 3, though. It's 3 hundreds plus 2 hundreds. 3 plus 2 is 5, and that goes in the hundreds place. So then I have these zeros. The last step I need to do is I need to add. So 5 plus 0 is just going to be 5. 1 plus 2 is 3, and then I have a 0, so it's just that 3. And 1 plus 5 is 6. So our answer is 635. Do a quick check with me. Is 635 pretty close to 600? Yeah, it sure is, right? That makes sense. Let's take a look at our standard algorithm. And this is the one that I think most students eventually just like. We don't have to do as much rewriting. We don't have to do as many different steps. We can kind of just go step by step. All right. For this one, I'm actually going to grab a piece of paper. I'm going to do the exact same problem that's there, but I'm going to talk you through each of these steps. And it's already written out for you, so you don't have to worry about it, but it might just help us to see it as we go step by step. All right. So if this is my problem over here, this is how I would write it. And you notice that I kept my ones place lined up, my tens place lined up, and my hundreds place lined up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my ones place, and the ones place is always over to the right. So 8 plus 7. All right. 8 plus 7. Well, if I have 8 and I count on to add, all right, I'm going to do 7 more. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Can I put 15 right here in this place value? I hope that you said no, because we can only put one number, like one digit is what we call that, in each place value. So I can't put 15 here, but what I do is I keep the number that's in the ones place is going to stay there. And my other one, we're going to call this regrouping. And hopefully you talked about this in third grade last year. When I regroup, that one comes over to my next place value. So the one doesn't just go away. We don't just ignore it. We don't just leave it here. It actually goes over to the next place value. All right. Now, I've sometimes talked about touch points. I've talked about different things. Maybe you've heard me talk about these. I just always really like counting on to add. So what I like to do is I like to look and go, which one of these is the largest number? Well, that's my 7. So I'm going to put my touch points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And eventually, I don't even need these touch points because I can just count on. So I've got 7, and then I'm just going to keep counting 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But I'm not done because there's one more touch point, right? 13. So I'm going to come down here and put my 13, right? I hope that you're saying, no, Mr. Campbell, you can't put 2 digits in that tens place. No way. And you'd be right. We can't do that. This one needs to regroup. So I'm going to move it over to the next place value. And now I look and go, all right, which of these is the largest? My 3. So I'm going to make sure that I count all of them. Now, one common mistake that people make is they forget to add this one. So I'm going to start with 3, and I'm going to go 4, 5, 6. And so my answer is 635. Again, these are just 2 strategies that we can use, but I want you to be able to choose and figure out whichever one you like best. But we're going to go ahead and turn to page 47. We'll do one more together, and then I'm going to give you a chance to do some to show me on your own. So let's go ahead and turn to page 47. So here we are on page 47. If you're not there, get there with me. And we're going to go step by step through some of these problems. Now, you're welcome to use the space over here. You're welcome to use the space over here. Or if you do have a notebook, I would love for you to grab your notebook to rewrite the problem with me. And the reason that I say that is because a lot of times when we're working on these types of problems, it is helpful to have just a little bit of extra space. All right. So it says find the sum by using partial sums and by using the standard algorithm. Now we can do either one of those, and I'm going to go step by step through each of them just to help show us exactly what we're looking at. All right. So we're going to start with the partial sums. So I'm going to rewrite my problem: 378 plus 557. All right. And when I do this, I'm very careful to make sure that these are lined up. I'm not going crazy. I'm not just scribbling it down. I'm being really intentional with each of these. Now, we're going to start off with our ones place. So I've got 8 plus 7. All right. And what is 8 plus 7? Well, if I start with 8 and I count on 7 more, so 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right. For partial sums, I'm just going to write 15. I'm not going to worry about regrouping because I technically did that by putting it in this place value over here. Now my 7 and my 5, what place value is this in? Well, this is in my tens place, right? So it's not just a 7, but it's a 70. And this isn't just a 5, this is a 50. So what's 70 plus 50? Well, I know that I've got these zeros that I can put into my ones place. And then I'm going to say 7 plus 5. What's 7 plus 5? Well, it's 12. I need to use both of these place values to write my 12. So I'm going to put my 1 over here and my 2 here so that it says 12. And I put that 0 because that's what was in the ones place. Now I move on. I've got a 3 and a 5. But these aren't just a 3 and a 5. They're in what place value? The hundreds place. So this is really 300 plus 500. All right. Now, just like before, I've got two zeros on each of these. So I'm going to put a 0 in my ones place and a 0 in my tens place because those are what we start with. And then I add what's left. Well, it's 3 plus 5. 5 plus 3 more. 6, 7, 8. That goes in my hundreds place. The last step with partial sums is for me to add it all up. 5 plus 0 is 5. I hope that you are doing this with me and answering. 1 plus 2 plus 0 is 3. And 1 plus 8, if 8 and I go one more, is 9. So I found my answer to be 935. All right. Well, now I want to use standard algorithm. And again, in just a little bit, you're going to get to make your own choice of what you would like to do. So I'm trying to get this so that we've got some blank space here. All right. So now I'm going to do my standard algorithm. Well, my standard algorithm goes 3, 7, and 8. And when I rewrite my next part, I want to be very intentional to make sure that my place values all line up. All right. Now I'm going to start in my ones place. All right. When I start in my ones place and I say, well, what's 8 plus 7 is 15. Can I put 15 here? No, I can't put 15 there. I can only put one digit. So I got to take this 1 and it doesn't just go away. It's got to come over to our next place value. Now I have 1, 7, and 5. All right, 7 is my largest number. And just to make sure I don't get lost or confused, I'm going to put my touch points. So I'm going to start with 7 and keep counting. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Can I put 13 here? No, I can't put 13. I can only put one digit, right? This 1 needs to, I hope you said regroup because it needs to come over here. 5, 3, and 1. All right. And so I can go ahead and start at 5 and go 6, 7, 8, 9. And so my answer is 935. Now, both of these strategies got us the correct answer of 935. They're just different ways of going about it. And you get to choose in just a minute what you want to do. So here's what I'm going to ask for you to do. I'm going to ask for you to do for A, for B, and for C. Do those three right now on your own. When we come back together, I will show you one partial sums. One of them will be standard algorithm, and then I'll surprise you with the third one. So you can do whichever way you want, but go ahead and try those out right now. Pause the video and work on 4A, 4B, and 4C. All right, I hope that you paused your video. Now, I'm going to go ahead and use the space that I've got on here just because I don't always want to have to pull out another piece of paper. All right, so if I'm going to start off with my partial sums, right here, I've got for 4A, 678 plus 253. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, what's 8 plus 3? Because that's my ones place. 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'm going to write 11 underneath here. Next, I come to my tens place. I've got a 7 and a 5, but they're not just 7 and 5, are they? No, they're not just 7 and 5. They are 70 and 50. They're 70 and 50. So 7 plus 5 is 12, but I need to put a 0 here because I'm working on this spot, and I've got a 12. Now I'm in my hundreds place. All right. When I go to my hundreds place, I put zeros in the other two place values, and then I say, well, it's 6 plus 2. 6 plus 2 is 8. 1 plus 0 is 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. Plus 0 is 3. And 8 plus 1 is 9. 931. If you did standard algorithm, you're just checking your answer to make sure that's what you got. And if it's not, you want to go back and double check for me. All right. Take a look at letter B. All right. For letter B, I've got 5 I'm gonna do standard algorithm. I'm gonna start in the one. So I have 5 plus 6. Well, I know 5 plus 6 is 11. Can I put 11 in that place value? No way, right? I got to regroup. So this 1 is going to come over and become a 10. 5 plus 2 is 6, 7, and one more is 8. Did I need to regroup on that one? No, right? I didn't need to. I just need to put my 8. 3 plus 2 is going to give me that 5. So my answer was 581. All right. Now, again, if you liked partial sums, you're checking to see did you get 581 or not. As you see, we can break these down a little bit differently. Standard algorithm is a little bit less numbers and writing, but if you do the partial sums, it breaks it down into some easier steps for you. For letter C, I'm going to go ahead and do, let's go with partial sums. Why not, right? So I'm going to start in my ones place. 5 plus 3, well, that's 8. As I move over to my tens place, I'm going to put a 0 in the ones place. And 8 plus 5 is 13. All right. As I move over to my hundreds place, I'm going to put a 0 in each of those and say 1 plus 2 is 3. And now when I add these together, 8 plus 0 is 8. 3 plus 0 is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4. So my final answer is 438. All right. Now, you're going to have a chance in just a minute to work on these on your own, but I actually want you to take one last look at something. I'm going to go ahead and slide this down for us. Would you go ahead and take a look at number 16 for me? All right. Now, when we get down to numbers 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16, they're trying to trick you. They're trying to just trip you up a little bit by writing our problem. This is called horizontally. All right. Like the horizon where the sun sets, right? It's a line, it goes across. That's horizontally. Now, why this is trickier is because they want you to rewrite it. So I'm going to start with my first number, 129. All right. 129. And then when I come over to 587, I always just like to start 7, and then the next place value is 8, and then the next one is 5, and boom, now I can add it up. I took the same numbers, they stayed in the same place value, because if I rearrange the place values, the number changes, and we don't want that. But what I can do is I can put them into the same spots, and now it looks like the other ones. So if that helps you out as you solve those problems for numbers 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16, please by all means do that. Otherwise, if you feel confident in it, you can just go ahead and use them the way that they are horizontally. All right, fourth grade, that is all that we have got for today. I want you to work on numbers 5 all the way through 16. Now, that seems like a lot of problems, right? It's really not that bad. It's 12 problems. They're all addition, and we've already been practicing this. You can knock these out, I believe you, in just a little bit. Go step by step, whichever way that you like. Make sure that you're regrouping. You're not just forgetting about those ones when we need to regroup them over to the next spot. Make sure you take your time to do that. All right, fourth grade, have a great rest of the day. Thanks for working with me today. We will see you next time. Have a good one.